Well, what's going on, social media family? Once again, it's on this second day of August. It's a new month as we make our way closer and closer toward the end of the year. I'm just saying, funny how time flies when you're
Yeah.
having fun. I sound like Janet Jackson when I say that. My good friend Edward J. Brown, Positive Choices Counseling Service in the building. Yours truly, Joe Dupree from 100 BLK to Black Station. And family, it is it. Again, another Wellness Wednesday where a healthy
Yes,
you
sir. Is a better you.
is a better you.
What's going on,
My
bro?
brother.
Man, let me
Listen,
tell you
was
something.
talk to me.
Every Wednesday we don't come on, it feels like a month we ain't been on instead of a week.
It does. It feels like
You
a
know?
long time.
Yeah,
It
feels like a
definitely
long.
does.
We miss a week, and I gotta admit it was on me. I had the opportunity to go to the greatest fraternity and known to mankind, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, had its general convention in, of all places, Dallas, Texas. And when I tell you it was hot, when you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's already 101 degrees.
Woo
You
wee.
go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock and it's still 101. It's hot. But
It's hot. It's hot.
to get that many brothers in one place at one time was overwhelming. And we got a lot of business done. And you know, the work of Alpha is never done. So we hopefully take what we did at this conference and move forward going into the rest of this year and into the next, because you know we only do national every 2 years.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you know the next one will be in 2025. Now, here's something that did come out of it that kind of shook the ground. On Thursday, the brothers made an announcement that 2025 was scheduled to be in Orlando, Florida.
Uh-oh.
Well, as a result of the foolery and the trickery and the just downright shenanigans
Come
that's
on.
going on with the political culture in Florida, it was decided by the fraternity to move the conference from Orlando. So the 2025 conference will be held in Philly. And
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, and the thing about it is, man, the announcement, the press release was done, I think either Wednesday or Thursday, and within an hour, we received acknowledgement from so many people. One such person being the Vice President of the United States, who actually commended the brothers on the
That's what I'm
decision,
talking about.
and we receive support from other fraternities and sororities saying that they're following the lead. That Florida has to do better. We have to
Right.
support one another, not just as fraternities and sororities, but as Black people. And the move
Correct.
was done because things are just they're just out of control in Florida. And anyone that doesn't like it, I'm not hard to find. But things have to get better in Florida. Politics are out of control in Florida. So somebody has to take a
It
stand.
is.
I'm glad the fraternity stood up and said, "We're not coming to Florida. Our money, the economic impact of
Come on.
Alpha's convention
That's what I'm
in
talking about
Dallas,
right there.
the economic Dallas. Let me tell you something. Every restaurant we went to had waiting lists in Dallas.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? The economic impact of this conference was unbelievable, and we ain't bringing that to Florida. Not until y'all do better. And with that being said, like Forrest Gump said, that's all I have to say about that.
Well,
So,
family, I want to caveat off of what Brother Edward just said. Listen, family, we have to let people understand that you can't just treat us any kind of which a way and expect for us to come and spend our dollars with you.
correct.
Because at the end of the day, you know, and I want to say this to folks. People in Florida have the audacity to say, you know, slavery was an unpaid internship.
Yeah, it was like
That's how they
internship.
act. They act like, you know, we just got it. We had 400 years of an unpaid internship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, And we've got to let folks know.
Forget about the murder. Forget
Right.
about the destruction of the African American family.
Come on.
Forget about the trauma that
Come
was
on.
instilled. No, we're not. We're going to just talk about the skills that was given. Now, here's the thing that I find very ironic. Okay. You say slavery and all that went with it was a paid internship because we received skills, but you don't understand. We were skilled when we came here.
Come on, talk to me. Talk to me.
So I find it a little disheartening because it implies that we needed the skills. What skills did you give us that we did not have? We already had
talk to me.
We had agriculture down. We had mathematics down. Astrology, we brought astrology here. The study of the stars. So, I mean, I'm trying, what did you bring? What did we take away from slavery that we didn't already have? Because if we needed skills, then what would have happened is we would have died off from lack of skills. But we didn't die off. We maintained and still thrived. That's how Master was able to eat well. Who took care of his children? Who took care of him? Who took care of his land? And on top of that, taking care of self.
Come on.
Now I'm not that brother to say that type of stuff to, because I am a well-rounded, self-actualized Black man.
Come on, speak on it.
And I don't have any deficits in regards to self. So no one, as people, I had a mentor that said, you can't serve me shit and tell me it's sugar.
Come on.
I know the difference. So I have yet, because as an intern site, I've had white interns, I've had Black interns. Okay. Not one time did any intern here at Positive Choices encounter any type of violence.
Come on now, speak on it.
Okay. Now I'm gonna let that one hang there for a minute.
Speak on it.
There was never any mistreatment. Okay. And here's the best thing about it. Now I'm about to give you the coup de grace.
Come on, let's get it.
It was all voluntary. Okay, we could end this podcast on that alone. All right. If what you're saying to be true in Florida, then why was it involuntary? Why was there violence associated with these so-called skills that Africans were given during slavery? First of all, we already had skills. We came here. If let me tell you something. If we didn't, explain to me this, Brother Dupree.
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Why we still got these folks trying to figure out how to get into these pyramids?
Right. Come on.
They're still searching. I always tell my students, I say, I wish I could bring one Egyptian back to life. They're going to say, man, all you have to do is push this, push that, pull that, and the whole top come off.
Right.
But we still don't know how to get inside without tearing it up. You got to dig into the ground and tear. I'm more than sure the Egyptians, man, you ain't got to tear up nothing. Let me show you how to get into this. Now, here's the interesting thing. Anytime you see any type of movie, any type of depiction of Egyptians, why they always look like they're European? Last time I checked.
Come on.
Okay, I'm going to say this now. Egypt is in where?
Africa.
See, you said that A word now.
Africa.
Are you sure? So why do we depict Egyptians as not Africans?
Well, because that's a programming to devalue you. See, here's another thing you got to ask yourself, especially in the temperatures that we're dealing with right now. If you were of a fair complexion and you decided to stay out in these humid and non-cloudy hot days, I promise you your complexion would not stay fair for long. So once again, we come back to that they don't want you to know that the pharaohs, the Cushites, they don't want to tell you about the 7th dynasty of the pharaohs. They don't want to tell you about Kemet, because if they do, it gives a lot of credit to people who are black and brown. See, in other words, they didn't want to tell you that the European. No, hold it. Let me stop there. Let me not go there deep. But let's say they don't want to tell you that the Romans showed up to the shores of Egypt to dilute the bloodline of Egypt, to make it more that there was a connection between the Egyptians and the Romans. See, they didn't tell you how Socrates and Plato came to get information from the Library of Egypt, because they didn't have the information in the Library of Rome. But they want you to feel like the cradle of civilization is somewhere there with Zeus and Athena and those folks, not knowing that Horus and Ra and them cats over there had it going on long before they showed up. But they don't want you to know that. See, because at the end of the day, here's where our mental health does matter. Because if I tell you you're nobody and you buy into that you're nobody, you'll believe that you're nobody. But if somewhere along the line I wake you up and tell you that you're somebody, wait a minute, and that you come from a lineage not of slaves, but a lineage of kings and queens and guys who worked in higher mnemonics and mathematics, all of a sudden you'll wake up something in you to say, I am somebody before the Nina, the Pina, and the Santa Maria, or whatever they want to call them. That part.
Here's the thing. We could end this podcast today, and you've gotten more than your fair share of what you need for your mental health. You know, we started off just already at the beginning of the podcast talking about how you have to take a stand, as the fraternity did, by saying we're not taking our economic power to Florida as long as you support the ideas that's coming out of Florida. Now, you see people in Florida got a problem with Florida. These folks at Disney, they like, hold on, man. You got to be quiet, because Disney's revenue has dropped by 30% since this brother been talking, running his mouth. So as we talk about taking the economic money from Alpha, from Florida, and moving it to Philly, that's just a part of what we need to show that not just us, but our mental health matters. Okay? We matter.
Right.
Whether you value me or my dollar, they're both a part of me. And if I'm not valued as a person, then I will not give you my dollar, which it appears you value more than me.
Hold on, and let's go there, because now we got to really go there, because now I see folk jumping on, and I want you to share this with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is going to be a Wellness Wednesday that hopefully will wake a lot of you up. We got to stop having these Stevens and Stevenettes, like in Django, who are so entwined in making sure everything good at Candyland that they negate everybody else that look just like them. Because we done sold a lot of folks. Listen, election time is coming up, and I tell y'all, it is said that a voteless people is a hopeless people. But you got to watch out, because there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. There's a lot of folks that are skin folk, but they ain't kin folk. And there's a lot of folk out there who will be like a Tim Scott, who will sit there and try to tell you this, that, these, and the thirds, knowing that had them themselves not been a product of affirmative action, they wouldn't be where they're at today. See, it amazes me how people so quickly forget where they came from. And then there's a lot of frauds out there. A lot of folks that will wave the banner that they're veterans, and wave the banner that they're this, and wave the banner that they're concerned about the community, when they're actually being backed by folks who don't give a damn about our community. And then they want to ask yourself, why is suicide, and why is Why is depression at an all-time high? Because you don't know where to run to for help. Because the same folks you going to that think got your back are literally sitting in the enemy's camp telling them, the hood, come on, this, that, and then have the audacity to say that they are the future. Baby, half y'all don't know y'all past. How in the world can you proclaim that you the future when you don't even know your past? Most of you are tricksters and schemesters, and all you are is a person with a good vocab, and you just done figured out a way to tell folk what you think they want to hear, and all of a sudden now they done elevated you to a spot where because your skin and your melanin is the color that it is, let me put you in front of your own people to make your people feel like you got their back when you really in my pockets. I had to say it. Now I'm turning it over to Brother Edward. The whole screen is yours.
Hey, listen, I'm about to add to that. So if they're mad at you, they're going to be mad at me. Because I've said this many, many, many times, especially during, debates and issues regarding, the plight of African people in this country. And this is where it stings a little bit. There had to be Africans, people of color, to help enslave our people in Africa because white folks ain't that smart. So I say that not to be ugly, but to take over an entire continent or to enslave people without the help of those people, it just could not have been done. Now, let me show you, and here's my evidence backing that. What happened in Vietnam? We went and declared, we fought a war over there that people to this day saying we did not win. That was because they didn't have help from the native folks the way they thought they would. But I want to talk about our mental health in regards to this systematic ideology that's been placed upon us of inferiority from time to time. You talked about it. We're not this, we're not that. At some point, we have to look inside and look at us and ask, why does the approval of individuals mean more to us than the approval of self?
Come on, talk to me. Start with self.
That is so profound on so many levels that we have to really look at it and say, I do care more about what this person thinks about me than when I think about myself. Because if I did not, I would not be going above and beyond to prove anything to anyone. I tell people all the time, the truth does not require you to believe it to be the truth.
Come on, that part.
It's the truth.
That part.
If I tell you today is Wednesday and you don't believe me, does it make it any less Wednesday?
Come on.
You believing something is not a prerequisite of it being the truth. So if I think I'm a good person and I believe that I'm doing everything to be as self-actualized as I can, and you don't, that's not necessary.
Come on.
Your acceptance or your belief in it is not necessary for it to be true. But we have too many, our young people. We really take on the burden of proving to people who we are. We take that on and we carry it like a wet coat.
Come on.
And it brings about depression. It brings about anxiety. It brings about all kinds of issues that we really shouldn't have. So I have people that come in to see me and I tell them, here's the thing you tell people. Your approval is desired, but it's not required.
Come on.
Now, that right there says a lot. It's
say
desired.
One more again. Hold it. You got to say that one more again. There's some people in the back that didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Say that one more again.
It's okay to want it because your approval of me and you thinking highly of me is desired. Yeah, I desire it, but it ain't required for me to be true, for it to be true. For it to be desired is human nature. for it to be required is not necessary.
Come on.
You know, my brother right now has one of the greatest minds of anyone that I've met in regards to putting things together. And I'm talking about, you know, Brother Joe, you can visualize something and bring it into fruition. We cannot take that for granted. But if a person does, that don't mean you less effective at it.
Real talk.
You're still as effective at it, whether they believe it or not. Now, when it happens,
that's very true.
When it happens, then they'll say, "Oh, well, yeah, he did say he was going to do that." But what they don't say is he did say he was going to do that, and I ain't believe him. They don't say that part.
Right.
But in order for it to happen, them believing it was going to happen wasn't necessary.
Correct.
So when we start looking at what has happened to us as people in this country, we've allowed ourselves to be marginalized. We've allowed ourselves to be underestimated, as Brother Joe Madison said.
Correct.
You know, we cannot allow ourselves to continue to be that and it affect us being as great as we are. I remember when I was on my plight in the gym, I used to go in the gym and I would look at these guys who had these chiseled bodies and they working in the gym every day. And I'm looking and I'm like, I'm working, God talking, I'm working, and I ain't looking like that. And I began to get discouraged. And what I ended up saying was, you know what? Hold on a minute. Number one, I ain't 24 no more. I'm not 24. And number two, which is probably the most important part, their journey is not my journey.
Correct.
I want everybody that watch this podcast to understand that. Their journey is not your journey. So all that we're doing, you know, looking at these folks like my brother's talking about, like Clarence Thomas and Scott and all of these dudes that look like they're putting rocks in the pockets of black folks. I don't worry about them as much as a lot of people do, because let me tell you something. We have been overcoming and conquering since we got here.
Come on, speak on that.
All right, there's been people like them always. When they landed in Africa, they was like, look here, we just need you to show us where they are. We don't need you to look at these little shiny gold rocks. You like these? We're going to give you these. Now, not knowing that we got this from your land over there. We got this gold from here.
That part.
But you tell us where they are, because we've been walking around for about 30 days and we ain't seen not one. Because they've learned to camouflage and we've learned to protect ourselves. So now they take one. Well, I'm going to show you where they are. See that tree line? That's really not a tree line. Behind there is a village. And then, okay, so now you got help.
Right.
So
you got intel
in this country now.
You got intel.
we got intel. So now here we are in this country now. And we're looking at, we putting people in front of us that's shucking and jiving, saying all of this negative stuff. Now they're trying to minimize and downplay the impact of slavery and the trauma that it caused. My question is, who's surprised?
That part.
Once we started hearing, we don't want none of this critical race theory stuff. And this is when I knew we were in trouble about 4 or 5 years ago. I saw a lady on television and she said, I don't want my child learning about slavery. This is a white lady. And the reporter asked her why. You know what she said?
Speak on it.
Because it makes my son feel bad. And I'm like, wow.
That's deep.
Not yet. I don't want my child learning about slavery because it makes them feel bad. So now, let me tell you why they don't put people like me on panels with people like her. I remember the first time, I think I was in the 8th grade, 7th grade, and I had to read about Romeo and Juliet.
Come on.
You know what I said?
Talk
That's
to me.
kind of sad. Now, here's the thing. I said, but they both killed themselves. That's really bad. You see, I'm in the Catholic school, so the first thing I said was like, hold on, sister. So does that mean Romeo and Juliet in hell? Because they killed themselves. Now, let's play that to today's time. Little Billy is like, I feel bad. You ain't got no problem with suicide. Y'all not pulling Romeo and Juliet off the bookshelf.
Come on. And
that's basically, in my opinion, promoting suicide. I'm just being facetious. Of course, I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean? That's promoting suicide.
Okay, but you have a valid point from your point of view, or someone may see it that way. See, here's what I always say. We ban books, but I have never, in my military career and in my career in law enforcement, I ain't never showed up to a place where there was a mass slaughtering due to somebody doing it with a book.
Yeah, they killed 13 people with a 300-page book.
I have never seen that. But we will ban a book, but we won't ban weapons of mass destruction that are in the streets. See, we got to get down and start really asking ourselves what's really going on. Because once again, this is where you can't get hoodwinked, you can't get ran amok, and you cannot be put in a direction of misinformation when folk tell you your vote don't count. Because your vote is your voice, and your voice has power. Understand this. Back in the 60s, you couldn't vote. You couldn't vote. If you look like you and I, you couldn't vote. And see, there are too many people who have sacrificed way too much. Listen, when it comes down to mental anguish and dealing with mess, there are too many folks that have sacrificed way too much that we have the privileges that we have today for us to get hoodwinked by folks that look like us who really working for them. So family, it's time for us to wake up. I got to do it like in school days. Wake up, because you got to wake up. Because family, if you don't wake up, you're going to wind up seeing the hood get more hoodier. And you're going to see a mass exodus of those who look like us, who really ain't got our best, what's best for us in mind. They over there in the enemy's camp. Just like you said, it took somebody to, hey, that tree line ain't really a tree line.
Yeah, that ain't tree line. They behind there. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so you got to watch out for Stephen and Stevenette, because they out there. Now, there are folks who call them out. I've seen some people call folks some ugly names. I'm not gonna call you no names. I'm gonna call it like it is.
Yeah. Because I don't want the message to get lost up in you and your feelings being hurt.
Right. Hold on.
If I call you stupid, you lose the message.
Right.
Because you dealing with the word I called you.
So let me hit y'all with something. I'm gonna hit you with what I teach in class every Thursday and every Tuesday. FFH. Facts, feelings, and hearsay. We're gonna stick to the facts. We're going to stay out our feelings, and we ain't going to listen to no hearsay. So at the end of the day, if you selling your people out for 3 pieces of silver, you Judas, period. You are an individual who all you're concerned about is what's good for you and yours, and you could have less to care about what's going on in the community or what's going on for the good of the community. And sadly, family, we have people like that are running for office right now. Sadly, we have people like that who are school principals and school teachers. Sadly, we have people like that are in the pulpit and got on honorable uniforms in the fire department and the police department and in the sheriff's department. We got folk that look like us. They skin folk, but they ain't kin folks, because they could care less what happens to you and anybody else who looks like you, long as they're okay and those connected to them are okay. And trust me, they connected to some folks that don't look like us that are better known as the colonizers. Now, with that being said, let me turn it back over to my good brother, Brother Edward J. Brown.
I look at, we start talking about, my brother made a quote about Clarence Thomas, and I want to take a minute to tell you and switch the gears just a little bit, not much, switch the gears a little bit, because we started talking about how much we try to live our lives with the acceptance and the approval of others. So much so that we'll sell out our people to be approved of. We will put ourselves in debt to be approved of. Well, what I want to do is when we start talking about that ideology is here where I am. Yesterday was the first day of school. And I literally, I'm not talking figuratively, I literally had a conference today with a parent about her son who's in the 8th grade. And he didn't want to go to school today because his new Jordans had not come in yet. So he missed the first day and he missed today. Okay. All right. Hold that, because I'm gonna need a louder one. I'm gonna need that times 10 in a second. Okay. So you would think that's the bad part. You would think the fact that the mom didn't make him go to school is the bad part. That's not the bad part. Here's the bad part. He did not go to school because his new Jordans didn't come in. Now, here's the bad part. And I'm glad you're sitting down, Brother Joe, just like I am. He can't read. He didn't go to school because he wasn't going to look,
He didn't have the drip. He didn't have
his drip. But he can't read.
So we're more concerned about how he look than his ability
to
speak the King's English.
Look without his new Jordans on the first day of school, so much so that he didn't go to the place that could teach him how to read.
Hold on. What grade? Now wait a minute. They've been
failing you for a minute. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did I miss something here? Because I wrote something down and I'm looking at it. You did say this young man is in what grade right now?
The 7th grade.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All
okay.
Right.
You with me? I told you there was a sit down moment. What I can't get beyond, and I can't get over, and I can't get past is that variable that's in us as people, that we care so much about the approval of certain systems that we interact in, that it becomes debilitating. This young dude has been, for the past 7 years of his educational career, been getting by some kind of way.
Illiterate.
So now I'm talking to the mom, and you know what she told me?
Come on,
they
speak
all
on.
Love him. They
what?
love him. Yeah, the school loves him because he's charming. And he is a good-looking young fellow. Big, tall kid, maybe about 6'1".
Athletic.
Uh-huh. And this dude is loved by the school. And this boy, if you wrote his name with 3 other words that were spelled similar to his name, might be able to pick out his name.
See, so once again, that's where I have a problem. When you look at what just occurred with affirmative action. So if you don't want our scholars, you can't want our athletes. That's just where I'm at. Hold it. As now, mind you, my undergrad is from a PWI, but my graduate degree is from the Grambling State University, one of the world famous HBCUs, one of the 2 baddest HBCUs in this state outside of the Southern University. So if you ain't a tiger or a jaguar, oh, wait a minute, but you got the audacity to say you don't want our scholars. But I promise you this, them NIL deals didn't all of a sudden get thrown out for all them athletes because on Saturday, on any given Saturday during football season, somebody at some school is saying, "Run, partner, run,
run,
hit them, partner, hit them, catch that ball."
I think we have to get to the point where we start to say, let's prioritize what's important. And what's important, because we do this every Wednesday, mental health Wednesday, you know what I mean? Wellness Wednesday. I need everybody to do some real soul searching and love self.
Come on.
You gotta love self regardless. Let me tell you something. I've been fighting for the past 5 to 7 years with this issue of being the best self. You know, we need to prioritize being self-actualized, which basically is just a fancy way of saying, I want to be the best me I can be.
Come on, speak on it.
But we carry all this baggage around of wanting approval, wanting acceptance from these entities of which we dwell, be it work, be it social organizations, be it our cliques. And we look for approval so much so that it creates these debilitating symptoms within us, depression, anxiety. At some point, I've been going to the gym, and I started this podcast talking about I'm in the gym and I'm looking at these brothers, man, and they ripped and I'm sitting there saying, man, I'm in here every damn day, 2 hours a day, and I don't look like that.
Come on.
You know? And I'm sitting here, and then at some point I say, let me practice what I preach.
Speak on.
I'm going to be 58 years old in approximately 23 days. When I was 28 at Southern University, I'm 28. When I was 20 at Southern University, I looked like that, but not now. So their journey is not my journey. So what we have to get to is to where we start looking at ourselves and saying, okay, this is me. And regardless of what these variables outside of me, these entities that I want acceptance from, that I dwell within, I'm going to be happy even without that acceptance or that approval. Remember what I said, it's desired, it's not required. As much as I want you to like me, it's not necessary for me to like myself. I'm going to like myself regardless, and I'm going to be happy. And unfortunately, this young brother that I was just talking about, he is not getting that.
Come on.
His mood, remember one of the other podcasts, I said, we got to stop giving people control over our thermostat.
Correct.
This young brother is directly impacted by the way, as with a lot of adolescents today, directly impacted by how his feedback is.
Correct.
If the feedback that comes back is positive, guess what? I'm good.
Right.
If the feedback that comes back is negative, now we got to watch him because he may be depressed. He may be anxiety filled. He may not be able to function. At some point, we have to start teaching our children and these entities, you know what? You don't have the power that you think. Now, keep in mind, I just came back from National, okay, where we had thousands of brothers interacting with one another. And I saw it even within the frat. There was a, and I got to tell you, it was a sign outside the door, older brothers lounge. And you had to be 30 years or more in the fraternity to get in. So I said, well, I'm 32 years in. Let me go right on in there. And when I went in, there was even ageism within the old brothers. The brothers that was 50 years in the frat was together. The brothers that was 40 years in the gap. So I'm walking around.
Tribal. Everybody tribal.
At the end of the day, I got up and I had my cocktail and I left because I'm self-assured. I'm self-actualized, and I try to be the best me every day. Tomorrow, I'm gonna try to be better than I was today.
Come on, that's the point. We all should strive to do that.
So when we start looking at people and we start saying, be careful of the pressure you allow these entities that we dwell within to place upon you. And if you don't hear me for the third time tonight, it's okay to desire their approval, but their approval should not be required in order for you to be happy. Okay? Your approval is desired, it's not required.
Now, I need you to bookmark that. I need you to bookmark that for this reason. We see it on an everyday basis, and let's just be real about it, because I really want to make this, because you are the clinical scientific social worker. You've been through the training, the classes, and have the education. Lay people like myself, we see it every day. We see on social media how folks will fall in love with an AI generated photo program to make themselves look better. But then those same folks who will make themselves look better with an AI generated program won't go to the gym one day to help themselves naturally look the way they're trying to achieve in this fantasy world. We see people who, if they're not successful, we see people who believe in likes and shares. If they ain't got X amount of likes and shares, they feel that they are failures. Here's how I know. I have friends in high places. I have friends that are just normal folks. I have friends that don't have a lot. But I notice when folks put on there, you just don't support me. The least you could do is like and share my post. Baby, I ain't got to beg you to get on the JD train. Because here's the name of the game. The JD train gonna keep rolling no matter what. But see, so many folk out there, they feel like if you don't like my post, I done see people even call me and talk about, I don't like the way you responded to my post. Baby, hold on. Baby, listen, I know you I don't know you just in the social media world. I know you in real life. I hate it when people have the audacity to say and post things on Facebook that they wouldn't say or post to you in front of your face in real life.
I gotta be transparent to you, and I don't want to seem to come off as, because I am very compassionate, I'm very empathetic, and I'm even sympathetic in some areas. But I am that individual that people say, well, how did you get to the point where you're so what's the word I'm looking for? Not acceptable, but I mean accepting, but you're very I'll say accepting of people's approval or disapproval of you.
Come on.
I said, well, because I have learned a long time ago that human behavior, as predictable as it may be, it varies too much for me to allow it to determine my state of mind. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I bring 100 people in the room, and out of that 100, 75 like me, I cannot allow myself to fall into a deep depression or have a very high impact of the 25 that don't like me. I just can't allow that to impact my state of mind, because I have no control over that. Think about it. You
Correct.
are who you are. There's an exercise that I did one time, and I may do it because I'm doing a presentation tomorrow at the Head Start Center, where I put 10 people in a circle. And I tell the 10 people, communicate without saying a word. Now, think about this. Without anyone saying anything, there will be people that don't like the way you moved because you didn't say anything. They don't like the way you gestured. They don't like the way you looked. And I started saying, wow, some people, no matter what you do, will not like you.
Correct. No
So
matter
how
what you
can
do.
I allow something that I have no control over to impact me? That might be why I don't gamble. I don't gamble because I have no control over. I'm just dropping the money in the slot machine, pulling the thing. and hoping and waiting for it to hit. I'm like, nah, I'll do roulette where I realize that's absolutely nothing but fate, but luck.
Right.
A number can come up. You have no idea where that little ball is going to land. I can go with that. But pulling a slot machine, knowing it's a chip inside, I just don't have that much confidence. That's the way I feel about certain people and the way they behave. I don't like you, but do you even know me?
Right.
Have you had a conversation with me? Have we exchanged pleasantries? I think that we give and we're passing that on to our children. Our children need to be accepted and they need to be, and if not, then it causes them emotional trauma.
Right.
And I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. Because social media exposes people that don't like them to 100,000 people. At some point, we have to get to the point where we start saying, you know what? I like me.
Right. Right.
I like me, man. I like me a lot.
Right.
And I hope you do. But if you don't, I still like me. I like me. But absolutely. That's worthy of us repeating. My brother just said they don't have to like you. But brother, they definitely will respect you.
Come on, speak on it.
Yeah, that's right. Because here's the thing. It is nothing worse than a person that don't have any self-respect.
Come on. Right. How can you? That's the problem. With that, let me get on the camera in here. Let me get in here. Family, it's hard to love others when you don't love yourself. It's hard to respect others.
That sounds like a T-shirt that needs to be printed and passed out.
When you can't respect yourself. Speaking of shirts, I got a shirt for you. I got to get it to you, but I'll get it to you soon. But that's the problem. It's hard for you. It's hard for you to give all of you and not save any of you for you. See, that's the problem. See, that's where one day you wake up and you realize that you give all yourself to everyone else but yourself. And then depression hits in and you say, man, if I had only, I made sure everybody else's dreams came to fruition while I put my dreams on the back burner. Family, we got to stop that because and then we don't want to talk about it because too many times it's the hard, difficult conversations that we know folk ain't going to be sharing that and clicking on it. They be like, yeah, I heard what he said. See, if you ain't talking about somebody, and I always remember this, if they talking with you about somebody, the next person they're going to be talking about is you.
Yeah.
So family, we got to do better because a lot of this depression and suicide, we put it on ourselves because we're not at the place where we are taking care of ourselves. We're so busy taking care of everybody else, where we can feel popular and where we can feel appreciated and where we can be loved and liked and shared. Baby, half of y'all miserable with you, but you want to be the next social media sensation. I said it.
So here we are and we're in the last part of the podcast. And whenever I get here, I want to recap what we talked about. And it's very important that we start to look at how the opinions, the beliefs, the actions of these entities in which we dwell, like I said, work, the social organizations, and how important acceptance within these circles are to how much it impacts who we are. We will get anxiety filled if we believe a group of individuals don't like us. We become, anxious and we start putting on buying things we can't afford or doing things to our bodies that we shouldn't do. When in actuality, the only person that has to be happy with you is you. The only person that has to be pleased with who you are is you. Again, we always say your approval is desired, it's not required. Because I'm going to be happy with me, I'm going to love me, I'm going to like me, even if you don't. I wish you did, but if you don't, I'm still okay.
Correct.
And we cannot allow our younger generations to come up and not understand that. We have people coming up that's like, if I don't get accepted by this group of people, I am going to kill myself. If I don't get accepted by this circle, I'm in a major depression. If I don't get accepted by this circle of people, my life is not worth anything. And that is not true. And we have to continue to destroy. But when we're doing things like I talked about earlier with that young brother, this young dude is in 7th grade. Would not go to school yesterday, his first day of school, or today, because his new Jordans didn't come in. But you can't read. He's literally illiterate.
Right.
He cannot read in the 7th grade. It made me say, well, what happened in the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd? What happened?
Right. Right. And better yet, we go back to what we have talked about in the prior podcast, parenting.
Yeah.
And
Mama didn't make him go to school. Mama didn't say, oh, you going with whatever shoes you have. She didn't say that.
Right, right. The skill set of parenting. And speaking of which, back to school is going on all across this country. I want to say this. Once again, I can be the bad guy. Ladies and gentlemen, men and women, fathers and mothers, if you're spending $300 for a hairstyle, $100 to $200 for some nails, and you're going to get some free school supplies, that's sad. I had to say it. Fellas, if you out there buying brand new Jordans and you going to get some free school supplies, if you can spend $300-$400 for some shoes, if you can put $3,000-$4,000 rims on your cars, don't go get free school supplies.
You know, I never thought about that.
There are people who really are living in an impoverished state that needs those things. See, we got to stop having that philosophy and that mentality that I want to be a millionaire, but I still want to have an EBT card. I said it.
Wow. Well, you sure did, brother, because I had never really thought about the economic status of the people who signed up for these free school supplies. Because I think that we as a people, that word FREE is 4 letters for a reason. Because you want to see, and I know this is a whole nother podcast. I'm going left field. You want to see black folks line up? Put a sign outside your house that say free elephants. I bet you within an hour, you're going to have folks lined up. Now, they don't know where they're going to keep it. They don't know what they're going to do with it. They don't even know what they're going to feed it. But it's free. So I'm going to get me a free elephant. And I promise you, when they take it back where they're from, people going to say, man, where you get that elephant from? They get it way down the street.
Right. You better go get you one.
You better go get you one. So, we have to get to the point, man, where we are self-actualized or are trying to, basically, like I said, just fancy way of saying being the best version of ourselves that we can be. Because right now, we are allowing these entities where we interact with other people to impact our state of mind. And we have to be happy with self. Therefore, anything anyone outside of self thinks, it doesn't really impact us. And if we can start passing that on to our children, especially with school starting, am I going to be liked? Are they going to want to be my friend? Are they going to want? That has to be secondary behind you got to like you. I want you to like you, and then everything else will fall in line. But too often, we're trying to help them build that self that other people will like. That's why he wouldn't go to school, because he didn't have his Jordans yesterday or today. Because if he went with the shoes he had, he would feel the other kids wouldn't like him.
Right. He
We
needed
have
something.
to stop
He needed something to make him
enabling them
right.
by saying, okay, what do you need to feel liked? Or you
Right.
need this Michael Kors purse, but you're only in the 3rd grade. But I'm gonna get you a Michael Kors purse. And now, on the first day of school, when you're standing up to take your picture, the first thing you're thinking is, how do you feel? Okay? How do you feel? And in actuality, if I was standing there with a garbage bag on and a pair of shorts and a football helmet, I feel good about me.
Come on.
But too often we're enabling and we're feeding into this. Well, yeah, I understand. He didn't want to go to school because he didn't want to wear. But ma'am, and I told her, I said, ma'am, this kid can't read and he's in the 7th grade. He cannot afford to miss a day at school.
That's a bigger problem. That's a bigger problem than his attire.
Because his new sneakers didn't come in.
Come on,
but
that's a bigger problem.
His anxiety. So we're at the point now where we do Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. And today's topic, and I had one of my students ask me, how do you pick your topics? I said, well, every Wednesday, the topic kind of picks itself. We may come in with an idea on what we're going to talk about, but instead, what's relevant to the time and the moment comes up. And today, I believe we talked about making sure that you like you.
Come on.
Making sure that you accept you, regardless of any outside variables. Because you have no control over those variables.
Come on, that part.
And if you allow yourself to be totally impacted by things you have no control over, you stay in turmoil and conflict. Okay? Things you have no control over, you stay in turmoil and conflict. Take a young person and instill in them your dynamic no matter what you have on. And I know what we're saying may sound cliche-ish, but what has happened is we've gotten away from doing that. Like I said, Mama allowed him not to go to school because his new Jordans didn't come in.
Come on.
Let me tell you something. Gail Brown said, let me explain something. If there was no shoes in the house, we're going to wrap these bags around your feet and we're going to put some but you're going to school.
Now, Brother Edward, because this is our show and because we can go as long as we want to, I want to stay right there for a minute. Something that you said earlier in the podcast, and family, I really want y'all to grasp onto this, because many a times there are different lines that we have to battle with day and night. We have men's opinions versus women's opinions. We have black folks versus white folks. We have the haves versus the have-nots. But many a times we do not recognize how the old versus the young. And family, that's where we've got to stop this internal struggle that we have, because watch this. These are different times than it was when Brother Brown and myself grew up. And parenting is different now than it was then. But there are some great things from new parenting that need to be used, but there's still some stuff from the old parenting that needs not to be forgotten. And we've got to do better, because every day I see some folk who look like you and I who are getting into humongous amounts of trouble over not being raised correctly, or they were raised correctly and somewhere they just fell off the wagon. Still, we need to be concerned, because like I tell folk, it ain't a problem until the problem knock at your door. You know, you look at everything until you get that call about your baby that got shot. Or you look at everything one way until one day you walk in your house and somebody done broken your house and taken all your stuff. Family, we've got to be more proactive than we are reactive. And that's why we do Wellness Wednesday. This is a proactive podcast. This ain't we're going to talk about it and ha and kiki. We're going to let you know this is the storm that's coming. You need to get your mental health weatherized to withstand the storm, because it's coming. Brother Brown.
I had a conversation with a young lady the other day, and we was talking about the difference in time, how things were different, this and that, and we went back and forth, right? And after about 15 minutes of the session I had with her, I looked at her because it came to me. Brother Joe, people are the same.
Come on.
Times change, but people are the same. We got two eyes, we have two ears, two hands, 2 feet. People are the same. Time changes. So if people are the same, why are we having the issues that we have today? Because people try to address different situations with different variables. You know, in other words, I want to do it different than my parents did it.
Right.
I don't want my children to have to do this. But never do we think about what character traits was developed as a result of that thing that you didn't like. Let me explain to you something, and we're gonna wrap up because we'll go all night long. You know what I learned by doing and dealing with issues as a young person? That sometimes in life you have to do things you don't want to do. That's what I learned. We're creating a society where the youth of today, they avoid and don't do the things that they don't want to do. It's like go to school if your shoes don't come in. We have to get back to where we start to instill in our people, our society, and our communities the concept of self-love and the concept of, you know, I understand I have to interact with these folks, but it all starts with how I think about myself. So, keeping that in mind, my brother, how do we always end Wellness Wednesdays? Because we talk about how, you know, how you think.
Hold on. I don't need you to end it. I'm going to tell you when you can end it. Family, here's what I do want you to know about, and I'm going to put it up here right quick.
Oh, yeah, listen, we talked about that earlier. I'm going to tell you about that too.
Election season is coming, and family, you need to get engaged. You need to get informed. You need to get involved. You need to get registered, and you need to go vote. But before you go vote, you need to find out which candidates are talking about the issues that affect us as a community, which candidates talk about mental health, not just talk about it. What have you done? See, it's one thing to talk a good game. I got to ask you, why are you running? And what have you done that makes me feel like you should garner my vote, that you can get into office and do what you say you're going to do? Because two words we don't use a lot in the Black community is accountability and responsibility. We need to hold people accountable and responsible for what they say. So we are going to start doing right after qualification, starting on August the 15th, every Tuesday night and every Thursday night, I'm going to have a candidate on here. I've got an invite from Stacey Abrams. I'm going to have her on one night. I'm going to have also some noted senators. Cory Booker. I've reached out to Cory. He said he'll be able to come on and do a night. Well, we can get some information to y'all. Let me take this off right quick. Well, we can get some information to y'all about what you need to know to make an informed choice when you go to the voting booth. Because watch this. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for or how to vote, but I am here to give you the information where you can say to yourself, this is what I need to do, or this is who I need to back because they stand for me, and they will be the ones who represent me when I cannot represent myself. So please, once again, I'm going to put it back up there. Meet the candidates. Make sure you tune in. Always keep it tuned in to Wellness Wednesday. Now, if Brother Edwin wants to go.
When does that start, brother? When is the first day? On the 15th?
It's going to be on the 15th. Right. It's going to be every Tuesday and every Thursday. And
you're going to do it just the same format?
Just like this. Just like this.
Because
Yeah.
I definitely want to, I'm going to tune in because I have a lot of questions.
Right.
Mental health means everything to me. And if you are not a supporter of mental health, and I'm not just talking about lip service, I mean your actions and your track records must show that mental health means a lot to you.
Correct.
All right. So I'll be here on the 15th. But in the meantime, we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I expect everyone to tune in. And again, we always say every Wednesday, if nobody else told you today, we love y'all. Peace. We'll see y'all next week.